A warm welcome back to your latest industry recap from an airline set to fly a new wide-body aircraft to new flights launching, and some fleet complications occurring at a major international airline. Why not begin there? Air New Zealand, the flag carrier of New Zealand, is adjusting its fleet while also planning equally for the future. Much of the airline's changes are being made to combat ongoing engine difficulties, which have grounded several critical aircraft types and resulted in subsequent route cuts to manage available capacity. Jeremy O'Brien, an executive at the company, spoke with Travel Weekly and expressed frustration but equal focus on the airline's part to get through this challenging period in a positive manner, eventually coming out the other side lean and ready to take on demand. Enhancing customers' travel experience remains a priority for the international airline, and ensuring that aircraft are available and of the highest standard are essential. In exciting news for the future, Air New Zealand expects its first brand new Boeing 787 Dreamliner to arrive, with these deliveries to occur over 3 years from 2026, permitting that there are no hiccups. Air New Zealand had previously announced plans to adjust its fleet composition, you may recall, and move towards a single-type long-haul fleet consisting of only 787 aircraft, therefore axing the popular but also high-capacity 777 fleet. However, recently Air New Zealand has focused on securing additional aircraft on leases as part of its efforts, and the retirement of the 777 hasn't really happened at maybe the rate that was initially predicted, the life being really extended. In fact, some of those fleet changes that we have seen take shape includes adding 3 of your 777 jets to help mitigate capacity lost, driven by groundings to the 787 Dreamliner, and the unreliability of these planes, this because of Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 problems. The following 777 jets have arrived on a lease in the last 18 months, marking the first 777 to come to the business since 2014, believe it or not. You've got ZKOKU delivered in October 2023, ZKOKV delivered in May of 2024, and ZKOKW delivered in September 2024. Other plans include the arrival of additional A321neo aircraft, which will be split across the operation to balance the fleet composition network-wide in an adequate manner that ranges from domestically to also internationally. Transformative efforts to the fleet are continuing to take place. It's been a focal point for Air New Zealand, who believe that simplification will be huge moving forward, one of the key reasons why they're moving to just the 787 for long-haul operations. However, engine supply chain challenges, driven by certainly the after effects of the global pandemic, have rampaged through our industry, resulted in groundings and reliability challenges for aircraft that have just been delivered. See, Air New Zealand is bringing in these brand new aircraft, really viewing them as the perfect aircraft moving forward for them, and on paper that would be true. However, the reality of the situation is it's been anything but that, with complication after complication leading to wet lease agreements being required, capacity cuts, and so much more, as I've covered here on the channel quite extensively. In some more positive news, IndiGo is going to begin flying the Boeing 787 from March 2025, thanks to an agreement being reached, a long-reported one, with Norse Atlantic Airways, the wet lease agreement for the placing of just 1 unit. Once delivered, the airline will see an initial term agreement of 6 months. However, if this is deemed a success on all fronts, it can be extendable up to 18 months. IndiGo has been eyeing the expansion of its network for quite an extended period. They believe that there are gaps in the market that can be activated if they have the right assets available, which they feel that they have not had in the past to really be able to meet that demand in certain markets. Introducing the Boeing 787 sooner than the delivery of other wide-body aircraft and acting more as a short-term solution gives the company the capacity and range that it desires on a more immediate basis, to really allow it to find its footing. And Norse Atlantic Airways, well, they present as an airline that a relationship can be fostered with. IndiGo has said that the aircraft will be primarily seen across long-haul routes outside of India, serving new markets that demand has been visible from but may be unreachable. While the deal only includes 1 aircraft, discussions from late 2024 more than suggested that more aircraft could be included in due course. For the moment, however, just 1 lone Dreamliner is part of the wet lease agreement. Norse Atlantic and IndiGo both confirmed in that press release that they would continue their very open dialogue, and therefore the acquisition of further 787 Dreamliners on a mere short-term basis could definitely be possible. So it is a kind of watch this space. As Tata Group has taken over Air India and is looking to rebuild that company from the ground up, there has been a lot more emphasis placed than ever before on IndiGo to continue advancing and fighting for market share for it to not be left behind, with Norse Atlantic attempting to find also ways to secure additional revenue in, say, different periods of the year. Leasing off some of its available aircraft has certainly presented a compelling opportunity to raise this revenue and still be of some use in different ways if it's not with their own scheduled passenger flights. A little bit earlier in this segment, I did make mention that the 787s would be more a short-term solution until another wide-body aircraft arrived. That is because that's the case. The airline has also purchased the Airbus A350 directly from the European plane maker. This is a firm order with jets to be delivered in 2027. 30 units are present as part of the firm contract, but what's really important to note is there are an additional 70 options should the company wish to activate them. So the A350 is what IndiGo looks as a long-term solution to have a reliable and robust international long-haul network, but to begin that flying sooner rather than later, it can look towards the likes of Norse Atlantic Airways to partner up and get the planes in the skies. Over to the last story in today's episode at the very least. Starlux is expanding its international network with, as promised, a strong focus on airline connectivity to the United States, where according to Aero Routes, the Taiwanese company will use its A350-900 to offer service between Taipei and Ontario in California. Service launching on June the 2nd, 2025. Regulatory approval is still required, and once launched, it will be the latest route to join the Trans-Pacific network. JX-10 and JX-9 will operate the flights between the two locations, with 4 weekly flights to be initially offered. Reservations reported to be opening soon. They may be opened at the time this video goes live. Obviously, I typically record these 4 to 5 days in advance, just to keep on top of things and the workload of channels, websites, and socials. What this certainly does do is represent a strong commitment to the location and a boost of trans-Pacific flying, which has long been a target for the company. As the aviation industry remains unforgiving, we know that Starlux still remains a pretty new airline to our industry. They really entered during the COVID-19 pandemic, and historically, when having a look at performance of airlines that entered during this timeframe, not many of them are still around. Since their emergence, however, they've flown with one of the youngest fleets across Asia, a totally next-generation Airbus fleet composition from single-aisle jets to wide-bodies, which has certainly helped in terms of their performance, and they view the A350 as the plane that is really solely responsible for driving their long-haul flying, and therefore it's a persistent focus to use this plane to reach new markets, and Trans-Pacific has been arguably the biggest port of call, with on several occasions the company launching expansion to destinations here and also targeting others in the future. While it has experienced its fair share of A350 delays, well, with each plane that gets delivered, more opportunities are going to present themselves. Thanks a lot for watching, take care, do be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow for your next industry recap.
And we'll fly.